idea. I will find him!
You're a breed. Men are brave.
It's not about deserve. It's about what you believe.
Could've just peed on him.
Like brunch. Like, what is brunch?
The story of the Defiance is well known.
What, we some kind of suicide squad?
Heroes don't kill people.
Well, I do.
Martha!
Hello everyone and welcome back to Enter the SnyderVerse, where we are going through every single movie in the DCEU and also some movies that are not in the DCEU, like this one. Because we're doing the Batman. Who's here?
I'm one of your other hosts. My name is Nathan. I am the Knight. I am Vengeance.
I'm Kyle, and unfortunately I was forced to watch this movie. I was pulled into the boardroom by my boss, Kanye West, and he forced me to watch this entire movie on mute.
Oh, topical joke. Wonderful.
Very topical.
You caught me off guard, Kyle. I didn't know you were going to do that.
I am to surprise, just like the Riddler, you know.
Oh, yes. What is the price for your blind eye, Kyle?
Oh, what a psychopath. Okay, speaking of psychopaths, the Batman, Nathan.
The Batman 2022.
So this is our second departure from the DCU. Arguably a much more substantial departure than Joker, because Joker feels like a really weird, like, this is something else. This probably could have been in the DCEU if they really wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, there was lots of chatter about when James Gunn took over, but maybe his new continuity could be, he could just snap it all into being part of the Matt Reeves Batman-verse. But from what I hear, Matt Reeves is rightfully, in my opinion, quite protective over his creative freedom with these films to kind of just do his own thing, which was, I think, what got him the job in the first place, because it was not connected to the DCEU.
Yeah.
So I think that's not going to be happening.
This movie has to be the sign that the DCEU was dead, right? That they were doing a Batman movie and it wasn't in the DCEU.
I don't know. I really don't know, because, I mean, once upon a time this would have been the Ben Affleck Batman movie, because he was going to make the Batman.
But that would have been a very different movie, surely.
Oh yeah, that would have been Deathstroke, and it would have followed on from Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor on his yacht in the south of France, you know. I don't know, to be honest, because I quite like the thought of doing Elseworld things. Like, this is what, like, Marvel would never allow this, you know? You would never they would never allow you to make an Iron Man movie not part of the MCU, you know? But at the same time, you know, this is what other studios are kind of open to, like Spider-Man, you know, you're getting your Into the SnyderVerse films, or back when Fox ran the X-Men movies, you would get your Logans and whatnot. You know,
I always wonder about that, like, do general audiences just assume that Madam Web takes place in the MCU?
I bet. I bet.
I think so too. I think most people don't follow the in-depth business arrangement that goes into the Sonyverse, you know?
Well, Kyle, do you want me to give you some business marketing shenanigans here?
Please do. I would love nothing more.
So, when I was a student, pre-COVID, I done a case study on the Marvel Cinematic Universe's business structure, right?
Okay.
And I started with Disney's acquisition of Marvel in 2010, who before that they were an independent, you know, business that were almost bankrupt, and they'd done everything with Iron Man. They'd sold off all their properties to other companies, you know, the ones that the people were interested in, like Sony took Spider-Man, Fox took the X-Men, and the kind of Marvel were just left with the ones they couldn't sell.
Yeah.
And I'd done some market research by doing, you know, asking people, because I had to make graphs and stuff. I was being graded on this. And it was to be like, do you know who owns these different properties that are all just called Marvel? Most people still thought all of them were just owned by Disney.
Right, yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
No one really got that this was all separate. That there was a Sonyverse, that there was now this was probably around about the time the first Venom movie came out, to be honest with you, but there wasn't any, Fox X-Men were still a distinct property, you know, Logan came out in 2017. People didn't know that these were all different universes. It's just superheroes. You'll even get to a much lesser degree, I think, than it was maybe 10 years ago, but you'll still get people that think Batman and Superman are Marvel.
Yeah.
But that's just people that don't know nothing about anything. You know?
They're watching Avengers Endgame, it's like, where's Batman?
Exactly, right, exactly. I mean, I think I told you before, I've maybe mentioned it in the show, my mum thought The Mandalorian was Marvel.
Yes, I think you did mention that before.
You know, like, there is always going to be a certain segment of your audience that just don't know what anything is, and they just watch the confined show with a brand name for that show. They don't care about its the extrapolations and where this is all leading, you know. Not everyone's waiting for their big Avengers film, they're just watching the product and enjoying the product. But some concept art came out today that was apparently concept art from Adam Webb that had featured Tom Holland Spider-Man fighting Ezekiel Sims, who's the villain of that film. And
yeah,
I mean, in the trailers for that movie, there's references to other Spider-Man. This was one of those, a bit like how in the Morbius movie, you can see pictures of Spider-Man in the background and he calls him a murderer and it's all cut from the film. And then they add Michael Keaton's Vulture to the end of the Morbius movie, and Michael Keaton doesn't even really know why he was there. And it's all just...
It's deliberately confusing.
It's I think from Sony's part, it's deliberately confusing. But most people do typically think this is all Disney. I do agree with you. But in this case, I think most people probably think this is all Henry Cavill, Zack SnyderVerse.
Mm-hmm.
So like, this is before he became Ben Affleck.
Yeah, he was, he looked and sounded and acted like an entirely different man.
Yes, with smartphones.
And Commissioner Gordon got the reverse of a tan.
This is, he got like hit by a Mr. Freeze ray.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about the Batman, shall we?
Hold on, very quickly.
Uh-huh.
Iron Brew gets you through.
Not sponsored. Hashtag not sponsored.
Not sponsored at all. I just had to open it. And I wanted to lampshade it, you know.
If you want to get in touch, Iron Brew, we won't say no.
I would love to have Iron Brew as a sponsor.
We will shill for anyone who gives us money.
I will shill, especially for Scottish companies that give us the money.
Absolutely. Right. Okay. Nathan, I think this might be the best Batman movie.
Oh, really? Do you think so?
It's been a long time since I watched the Nolan movies. I haven't really watched them since I was a kid.
That's fair enough.
And to be honest, I've never really engaged with the Tim Burton movies. I might have to go back and watch it when we get to Flash, because...
Controversially, I think there's only 1.5 good Tim Burton movies.
I don't know if that's that controversial.
Batman Returns is a bit goofy.
I don't know if that's that controversial. I think you're safe with people. I don't think anyone's out there going Batman and Robin's the best Batman movie.
Well, there's 4 of those movies, even though Tim Burton only done the first 2, and Michael Keaton also only done the first 2. But like the Val Kilmer and George Clooney ones are supposed to be the part of that 4-movie continuity.
Yes.
And oh lordy Lou, I really only think Tim Burton's first one with Jack Nicholson's Joker is actually any good. You know?
Yeah.
I even don't really necessarily like the one with Danny DeVito as the Penguin.
Anyway, I really, really liked this movie. I liked it, honestly, more than I thought I would, because going into this, I wasn't sure if I would be into Robert Bat as Batman.
Okay.
But it's a very different take. It's a deliberately different take on the character, and I was like, once I settled into that, I was okay with it, and I enjoyed the movie. I do think the movie's too long. That's my main critique of it. I think you could shave half an hour off of this movie and still get the same general idea.
Yeah, it does kind of sag in the middle and right at the end, doesn't it?
You could cut the last 20 minutes of this movie and have a stronger movie, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But overall, yeah, I loved it. I thought it was very good.
I'm happy you thought that, Kel. Is it primarily the dedication to the detective nature?
He doesn't kill anyone he doesn't directly kill anyone in the movie, let me specify that.
Kill anyone in the movie.
There's definitely some people who die as you could maybe argue an indirect result of Batman's actions. That car chase, with that car crash, definitely a few deaths in there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I enjoy the sort of intellectual view of Batman that, like, in his core, he is, you know, a vigilante detective and he isn't there to murder people. But I also do not believe that the expectation of every film is to paint that portrayal of the character, because I kind of think it's a little bit ropey that he doesn't kill, because as you have admitted even in this movie that you think maybe the best Batman movie ever made, very much is still responsible for lots of deaths. So I'm okay if they want to give him a machine gun, but this was definitely a outing of the Caped Crusader that leaned heavily into the detective nature, where he doesn't directly kill.
Mm-hmm.
And I also do love that interpretation, because I think, as I've mentioned when we were talking about the Batfleck, is I was fine with the murder.
Yes.
But if you want to give us a portrayal of this character where he doesn't, that's also fine, you know? I think, and nothing more underlines that better than the Lego Batman movie. But how can you get a character with such a diverse portfolio that you can get Adam West Batman, Nolan Batman, this Batman, Batfleck Batman, and the Lego Batman, and despite them all being vastly different takes, they're all understood to be some legitimate interpretation of the character?
Yeah, Batman's weird like that.
Yeah, Batman is weird like that. Nothing is so wacky as for you to go, well, this is just Batman in name only, you know? Every interpretation feels like Batman to some degree.
To be fair, I think a lot of superheroes are like that, although Batman is definitely like one of the most versatile.
Which is very strange considering his default position, which is brooding in shadows.
I don't even know if that is his default position. It's his default position currently. It's not always been his default position.
Do you say it's more men in tights?
Like, if you go back to the 60s, then yeah, absolutely, it's the goofy cat running around with the bomb is the Batman vibe, you know?
Okay, fair enough, I'll grant you that. Well, it's definitely been brooding in shadows since 1989 with Michael Keaton, I think. That was the big reinvention that kind of set this character on its trend for the last 40 years. Yeah, I love this film as well, Kyle. I hadn't seen it since the cinema, March 2022, I believe is when it came out. I think I might actually still have the cinema ticket sitting here because I don't really I always just digitise my tickets. Mm-hmm. But just before I stopped doing that, I kind of thought, I'm going to collect my movie stubs. Ended up being too much work. But I think one of the few I have is actually the Batman. And I agree with you, it's very long. But I think that this was made by people that just get the character.
Oh, absolutely.
I quite like that this is a early Batman, but not year one. This is
it's
Batman year
not
two.
An origin story, thank God.
No, it's not an origin story. If I saw Batman's parents get shot in an alley one more time,
there's no dramatic shot of the pearls hitting the ground.
Yeah. Hopefully Joker we're done with this now. And Joker, they just rushed it out, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, ladies and gentlemen, I'm currently playing the Arkham games.
Yes.
And I'm on Arkham Origins right now.
Very prescient, because I think this movie has a lot in common with that game.
Yeah, what you think? I kind of feel this film had kind of a lot in common with the Arkham franchise's interpretation of Gotham City.
Yes.
It's just, everything's so seedy and alive, and you can't quite trust it. Like, the city's just riddled in corruption, but not like a mysterious, shadowy who's the corruptor. It's like, no, we know who the corruptors are, but they're being allowed to do it anyway, which is very much what I feel the Arkham games kind of portray. There's no mystery to the corruption, but it happens anyway, which is in this film is kind of what the vibe I got.
Yes, the look of this movie is just perfect.
Stellar,
like,
yeah.
I honestly feel like it's the closest I've seen in a while to properly capturing like a comic book feeling in a movie, where it's got such specific use of color and the way things are framed, and just everything comes together to that very specific like 2000s Batman comic energy to it.
Yeah, I can agree with you. I mean, well, as Brendan Fraser said when he filmed Batgirl here, that film we'll never see, in Glasgow, he said this city is Gotham. It oozes corruption and decay.
We obviously have to point out that this movie was filmed partly in Glasgow because we can't boys.
Not. We're Glasgow boys. I still live in this city, and it's just, I recognise the streets, you know, and I get it. See, if you live in New York, you watch every movie and you go, I've been there, you know?
Yeah, probably.
But that's me for Batman, you know? I think the first film they shot here was The Dark Knight Rises, so that was the last Nolan movie they shot bits here for. Which
last time we had a local Canadian town, so, you know.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, when we get to The Flash, I'll bring it up again in a whole lot more detail, because I think that this film, like what Kyle is mentioning, catches a comic booky vibe. It does sort of kind of rob the location of its identity, but that's fine, you know, the place is there to serve the film. You can change stuff to make it look more sinister. In The Flash, everything just looks like Glasgow and B-roll, you know? Like, it's just, you don't change anything.
See, this movie knows how to use Glasgow, which is the reason they shot in Glasgow for this is that Glasgow is a very, very old city. And that's the kind of feeling you want to capture with Gotham.
Yes, like Industrial Revolution, kind of sandstone tenements. Yeah, absolutely. Big, tall, blocky, monolithic buildings of empire.
Yes. That's the Gotham vibe, and the unfortunate truth is there's not a lot of cities in America that actually look like that.
No, they were all burned down.
Yeah, most cities in America are more modern than that.
That's true. They were all glassed up and skyscrapered. Which you do get some tall buildings in this. There's that shot of Gotham City where Batman's riding through on his bike at the start of the film. And it's almost like he's coming up to like a V-shape angle in the city, and it's just this one big corner shot, and it almost looks like Times Square meets Piccadilly Circus, where it's just the big screens, you know? And you see the colours feel so vibrant.
Yeah, there's all this neon and stuff. It's perfect. Yeah.
Which is something that I would draw a comparison to with Arkham Origins specifically.
Yes. Oh, you're going to get way more of that in Arkham Knight. Actually, that's the entire vibe of Arkham Knight's Gotham.
Oh right, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I haven't played Arkham Knight yet, but the other night I just done the Copperhead fight. And there's like green glowing up through the floor, like natural lighting. It doesn't just feel like video game. There's a light box behind the wall that's producing light. It was like it's coming through it's like naturally lit, and it just looked great. Absolutely tremendous. And just, the ooze of character. Like, people always say, the location of this film is also a character. I think certain movies kind of maybe take liberties with when they say that. I think in this movie, though, it's so true.
Absolutely. There's so many shots in this movie. Like, the opening, I want to say, 7 minutes before you even see Batman, where it's just Robert Pattinson doing his, I am the shadows, blah, 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 all that stuff.
Or he's reading his diary.
Yes. All of that, and of just the establishing shots of Gotham, and the bat signal goes up, and all these criminals are start to run away when they look in the shadows because Batman might be there. All of that stuff is just amazing. It's just so visual and cool, and it's so great.
There's one shot of the kid in the Halloween mask looking up, and it's just it's like a green pumpkin he's wearing. And it's just raining relentlessly down on him as he looks over at it. It's
always raining in this movie. It's always pitching it down.
That's Glasgow. And he just looks into the shadows and gets hit by a car because he's scared of nothing.
Yes, he gets hit by a cop car.
A cop car. He hadn't done anything, but he had the intent, and he just runs away.
That's the other thing too. I love that, this movie is kind of set in the modern day, but it has that really classic Batman look where it's kind of timeless, where all the technology is really what's the word?
Minimalist? Not
minimalist, anachronistic. All the cars are these big 70s models.
Yeah. Nobody has the sleek new Bugatti Veyron.
No, it's this weird fusion of modern tech with all this old stuff, and that it doesn't really make any sense, but it is very Batman.
It's an artistic choice,
Yeah.
Even the train stations and the trains and all, they all look very kind of 70s run down. There was some speculation
all the mustaches.
Yeah, all them, so many big bushy handlebar tashes in this film. There was some speculation before this film came out that maybe they might be a bait and shake? Bait and
switch?
Bait and switch! Switch is the word, thank you, Kyle. I was going to say a bait and shake. And don't know what that's got to do with anything. A bait and shake, don't know what that is. And where this would be set in the Joker universe.
Yes.
Which would have been horrible.
Oh my god, can you imagine?
Would have been.
That scene at the end where the Riddler is walking Phoenix Joker.
I think it would have got people's attention. And, ironically, despite me maybe not liking what that would have meant for the franchise, I would have liked that scene more because it was a pre-established character. And I would have liked
that scene to not be in the movie.
Oh, no, yes, precisely. I would rather every mention of the Joker be stripped from this movie, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're going to insist on putting it in, I would rather it be Joaquin Phoenix's Joker if it was never to mean anything and never go anywhere, but in Zack Snyder's Justice League with the nightmare sequence, If it meant nothing, have it be Joaquin Phoenix. If it means something, cut it out the movie, because I don't want to be introduced to a new Joker in this film. It's ridiculous. We're on to our third Joker in the last decade, Kyle.
Well, speaking of the look of things, what do you think of this Batsuit look?
I love everything from the collar down. I love the collar, by the way. I should say that Batman
I love
don't
the
really have
collar
collar.
too. It gives him such. It's like the Arkham games. It gives him that silhouette. It's perfect.
Yeah, it does build out the silhouette in quite a nice way. I think that the mask is intellectually and artistically consistent with the rest of the suit, but I just think it looks weird. I think it looks cheap, where you could see the leather stitching around the nose. Like, it does not even like, oh, I can believe he made it himself. Sure, listen, I could believe that Tom Holland maintains the Iron Spider suit in the MCU in that little case.
Yeah, it's like a little beehive, yeah.
Yeah, if they were to give him a nicer looking suit, I would have just believed he made that as well. I can suspend my disbelief for the suit. I just think the nose looks really fucking goofy, like it was made by a cosplayer. The ears look fine. I guess the eyes are okay. I really like that you see when he takes off the mask and he's still
like
the eyeshadow.
The pile of black mascara, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely terrific, right? I'm a big fan of that. I love the chest piece, the torso, and the bat symbol on it. Had you heard a theory what people thought the symbol was made out of?
No, I assume something dumb.
Oh, yeah, it's very Zack Snyder. People thought the bat symbol looked like two sides of like a grip on a pistol.
So people thought it was the gun that shot the
his
Waynes.
parents. Yeah, there you go.
Oh my god, can you imagine? That would be so stupid.
So edgy, Kyle. It was so edgy.
This movie's not as edgy as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's very criminally. It's a disgusting movie. It's a seedy movie.
It's seedy, but it's not edgy.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a distinct difference.
Everything feels really uncomfortable.
Like this version of Bruce Wayne, this is the most Britty Bruce Wayne we've ever gotten. This is proper emo goth boy Bruce Wayne, right?
Yeah, my one criticism of, I would say, Robert Pattinson's portrayal, and I think this is a portrayal that most Batman haven't really done a good job of, I literally mean any Batman, is the playboy persona. I feel like we never really get.
I didn't mind that because this is a Bruce Wayne who hasn't quite learned to use Bruce Wayne yet. As a persona?
Which is a response I have heard to this critique before. So, like, I'm willing to not condemn the portrayal, you know? But I feel like, you know, Ben Affleck didn't really do it. He wakes up in bed with some woman a couple of times.
He did.
But, like, they never linger.
There's the scene in Batman v Superman where he goes to, like, the art gallery and he's, like, chatting at people.
I thought he was chatting up Diana.
He is chatting up Diana, but, like, there's the art. He also goes to, like, Lex Luthor's, like, thingy. And he meets Clark Kent, and he's like, "Oh, I love leaving people together. Oh, I'm wacky and crazy."
Yeah. I don't think that's not Bruce Wayne being philanthropist and, you know, kind of Tony Starky. I wonder if they're scared of it because of Iron Man, to be honest. Because Tony Stark is such a flamboyant sort of showman that the MCU cornered the market on, and they wanted to distinguish. Because Dark Knight came out in 2008, and you get like a brief scene with Bruce Wayne coming out of a helicopter at a party with a bunch of women, but it's very, you know, kind of nothing, and it's just something that I feel like that's a place you can go with this character. Have him be the kind of rich asshole that no one would suspect to be Bruce Wayne, because I find the fact that no one guesses he's Bruce Wayne in this film especially to be just absurd.
Because he's a weird reclusive weirdo who never leaves his house.
He's a reclusive weirdo that never leaves his house, exactly.
No, but like, I get what you're saying, but I think this movie has a really good arc for him, where he starts off like, I am vengeance and all that.
He's really angry. He starts off like the Punisher.
And by the end of the movie, he's learned that he needs to be a superhero as opposed to a vigilante. That's basically his arc in this movie.
Yeah, he is, yeah. Because the whole film, they call him Vengeance. And then there's the pivotal moment where one of the Riddler school shooters says that he is Vengeance.
That's the real, like, spelling it out for the dumbasses in the audience moment.
Exactly, right? And that's where he, you know... I actually think this spelling out for the dumbasses comes later, and I'll tell you that, but it's right at the end of the film.
Right.
But that's the point where he realizes that I can't just, you know, be a brutalizer of martial arts, you know?
Yeah.
He needs to be like a symbol
of hope.
Exactly. Because at the end of the movie, he does mention being a symbol. That's like when he's doing his final diary entry when they're on top of Madison's Gotham Square Garden or whatever it is.
Garden, yes.
Ridiculous. And he's like giving injured people to the National Guard, which is a really strange look. Batman working with the army, you know?
I don't mind it. I love the shot where he has the flare and it's all like the deep red lighting and it's like guiding people out of the darkness.
Symbolism, Kyle.
Symbolism. That's some symbolism.
The curtains were blue, Kyle.
The curtains were blue.
Flare was red.
It's just like the posters for the movie, Nathan.
Just like the posters for the movie, Kyle. Great, we saw it. You know what's crazy, Kyle? We've been speaking now for half an hour and I haven't looked at my notes once. Which I think is a good thing for me personally, because it means that like the movie's just so there on my head. Like it's just it left an impression.
Oh, this is absolutely one of the best movies we've watched in this podcast so far.
I'm happy you think so, because I always remember when you're not a DC kind of person, you kind of avoid these films, but you like some of the
I'm not a
characters
DC.
more
I am a
abstract.
Batman person.
You are a Batman person, yeah. Which is, I'm happy that you're getting around to watching these,
Yeah, let's talk about the Riddler.
Oh, please. I love the Riddler.
It's a very different take than we're used to, which I don't think is an issue. They're clearly going for something very specific. He's incel red pill Riddler.
Yeah,
is that
exactly.
fair to say?
Yeah, he gets his outfit from military surplus stores.
Yes,
which is very sort of school shootery.
It's a very weird look. The mask with the glasses on top of it.
Yeah, but I think it's great. And you hear the movie starts with Riddler, the heavy breathing. But at first you're not really sure it's Riddler. Like it could just be Batman scoping someone out because it's all first person.
Well, they do that later with Batman scoping someone else. It's like a parallel. It's like maybe they're not so different.
Oh. And exactly, this is it. This is filmmaking, Kyle.
This is filmmaking.
This is filmmaking. It's like someone knew how to make a movie,
To be fair, we've had a pretty good run the past few episodes. Suicide Squad, pretty good. Peacemaker, pretty good. I guess Zack Snyder's Justice League, you like that one.
Yeah, great. Best movie I've ever seen. I'll never watch a better movie in my life.
I like this movie is too long, but I will take this style over SnyderVerse style any day of the week.
There's a question. Do you feel this felt longer than Snyder Cut?
No, I don't think it did. Snyder Cut felt so long. You
think this was paced better?
I was never bored watching this movie. I felt like it was too long, but I was never bored.
That's good. I became bored a couple times, and I remember coming bored in cinema as well. But I'm sure we can talk about that later. But for Riddler, I just, like the heavy breathing where he's just standing in the mayor's home, just standing behind him. By the way, I thought this mayor looked a lot like Rick Flag. Do you not think that?
I don't know. He looked like typical seedy 70s politician man.
Yeah, I just thought no, his haircut was too suave. He was too new. Yeah, so and the Riddler's just sort of standing there watching him just intently, just with a real hatred in his eyes. A lot of good eye acting from the guy who plays the Riddler, whose name I have embarrassingly forgotten. I didn't.
I never knew it in the first place.
I did know it in the first place. Hold on. Cast of The Batman.
The Google's coming out, boys.
Google's coming out, boys. I need to prove I'm not a box. I've got my VPN on. I hate Apple. I could just turn it off. Motorcycles. Oh, you're going to beat me to it. No, I've got it. Shut up. Paul Dano.
Yes.
Paul Dano. Haha, fuck you. No, I'm going to keep this cast list up because I think there's a lot of people worth noting in this film. Paul Dano does a great job with the eye acting, and then just when he hits him, is that with like a piece of gardening equipment?
No, Nathan, this comes up later in the plot. It's a carpet removing tool.
It's a carpet removing. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I knew it was a tool of some sort. For some reason, in my head I was like, is that a trowel?
It does look like a trowel. Yeah,
no, you're right. It's the carpet removing thing. You get into the corners. Yeah, absolutely. I knew it came up again later. And as he's got the duct tape, and he's just breathing heavily, and he writes no more lies. Terrific, right? Terrific. They both see corruption in the city, but it's how he's anarchy in Arkham Origins, Kyle.
He is a lot. This is the thing, which is like the Riddler is correct, right? This is it's kind of the Killmonger problem again. A slight minor nitpick I have with this movie, which is the Riddler is correct. All of these people he murders are openly corrupt. They're in bed with the mafia. Or not the Falcones. They're not technically the mafia. Whatever.
John Turturro, baby.
John Turturro. It shows up in this movie. Amazing.
For quite a bit.
But yes, so he is correct. But then also they have to have the moment at the end of the movie where he detonates a bunch of bombs and he's the bad guy, right?
The point where he goes too far.
The point where he goes too far, which is exactly the same plot as Anarchy in Arkham Origins.
Yeah,
where it's he has a lot of good ideas, but also he's going to blow everyone up with bombs.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the Riddler goes too far the moment he kills the mayor. You know, he's already gone too far.
I suppose so.
And he does bits though, Kyle. He does bits. He has a thumb drive, Kyle.
Yeah, he does. He's a meme lord. He's an edgy meme lord.
He's a regular Joker.
He puts a creepy video on YouTube and gets 12 million views. I don't believe that for a second. Come on.
I don't know. You get a lot of views on YouTube for weird stuff, Kyle.
He only has 500 subscribers on that weird 8chan website or whatever
As we know, Kyle, sometimes you get YouTube videos recommended to you with 0 views, right?
That's true, yeah.
And I think the most unrealistic thing about it is that YouTube wouldn't have taken the video down for terms and conditions.
Yes, that's true, yeah.
That's the strangest thing. Though it says this isn't YouTube, is it?
Yeah, I'm sure it was some other website.
Yeah, it was Podvid or something.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, this Riddler, I do like it. I do think it's a very interesting interpretation. I'm not sure that the metaphor of it comes together completely, if you know what I mean.
Do you mean like he isn't the perfect mirror for Batman because he is just
not so much that
extreme?
part. It's like the sort of like online radical type aspect of it. Because it's tapping into a lot of like the sort of QAnon imagery of like the deep state and all this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the issue there is that in real life, those people are wrong. Whereas in this movie, he's correct. And that kind of muddles the metaphor a little bit.
As I mentioned, Kyle, he is too far. You know, he opens the film by killing the mayor. And furthermore, I would say, if you want to analyse, you know, the right-wing ideology of people that are like American crazy people, is that they're right as far as to acknowledge that there is a problem with the system. They just think that it's because of things that aren't true.
It's because the devil is operating in the basement of a pizza shop or whatever.
Well, exactly, right? But they are right as far as that they agree with the lefties that something is wrong. They just disagree on the cause.
Sure, okay. I suppose.
Joker, because he does bits, Kyle. Riddler notices something is wrong with the city. So does the Batman, Robot Bat. Mm-hmm. Their methods and who to blame, not even that, they both blame the same people, but their methods for change. So a bit like the Anarchy thing, like it's never a perfect one-to-one comparison. You know, all great art is pulled from different things and everything's derivative. Uh-huh. But, you know, you can see where he's coming from, but then you can see where his methods are too extreme and there he cannot be a hero, you know? He saw Guerrero, Kyle. He saw Guerrero.
Yeah, the other thing which is strange about his plan, right? So part of the thing is he reveals that the Waynes were corrupt. That they weren't these perfect angels that they're normally painted out to be, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. You've never played the Telltale Batman games, have you?
I have it. I own it. I haven't played it.
That is a big plot point in those games as well, is that that Thomas Wayne was kind of in bed with the Falcone, so I assume it's in one of the comics somewhere as well. Okay. This was the first time I had been exposed to the Waynes maybe not being a sunshine on the hill, you know? Yeah, I think that's a fine idea, because it kind of cuts the core of Batman of like, why is he really doing this? Is it just to avenge his parents, or is it because he believes in something greater? I think that's a fine sort of like lesson, which I feel like this movie kind of pulls back on a bit by having the scene with Alfred where he's like, actually, he made a mistake, but he was still a good man and all that.
Well, the film does kind of try to justify it by saying he never wanted Falcone to kill this journalist. He was just distraught and wanted him, you know, silenced. But, I mean, what did he think was going to happen when he went to one of the most powerful mob bosses in the city?
Yeah, I didn't need that conversation though. I think it's more interesting if maybe he did just want him to murder that guy.
Just want him killed? Yeah, okay. I think the film did feel the need to not completely vilify the Waynes. Why did they feel the need not to do that? Who knows,
I don't know.
I guess.
But anyway, so because of that, Riddler also tries to kill Bruce Wayne. Mm-hmm. Why?
I think possibly. Now, I agree with you that it's a bit nebulous, but I wouldn't consider it to be a stretch if he felt the need to attack Bruce Wayne, because he felt that he was like sitting on slave riches almost, and it kind of to the side
guess.
that the competition to the mayor, that lady that won the election, was saying. Like, your family are known for great pieces of philanthropy, but so far you're not doing anything with it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's kind of what the Riddler was kind of hammering home at. That you're just sitting up there with your, you're a dragon with lots of gold, and that gold could be redistributed.
The thing with his murder attempt on Bruce Wayne too is it's a lot less creative than the rest of them.
It's just a letter bomb.
It's just a letter bomb. Like,
yeah.
I guess with all these other people, he's like stalking them and kind of figuring their routines and all that. And for Bruce Wayne, he never leaves the house, so he's like, I don't know, I'll just send him a bomb, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, what can you do, you know?
Also, I would have thought that Batman was a bit more, like, cautious about opening his mail, as opposed to just letting Alfred do it. You'd think he'd have, like, a bat scanner or something, you know?
But yeah, well, nobody knows he's the Batman, you know? Maybe he's just
Yeah, but he seems like a pretty paranoid dude. I don't know.
It's probably, yeah, it's fair. I mean, I think that what I would like, Kyle, that's not what I think, but what I would like is for him to move back into Wayne Manor. I love Wayne Manor, Kyle. It's believable that there would be a Batcave, but we've spent the past number of years now with, you know...
I mean, it is in the SnyderVerse. It's just burned down, I guess.
Burned to the ground. He lives in some panel glass apartment next to Lake Wayne or whatever. Mm-hmm. And even in Nolan movies, the manor burns down. I'm sure.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't burn down. It becomes like a home for the... I mean, yeah, it burns down in Batman Begins.
It burns down in Batman Begins, and then they rebuild it.
In the rebuild, and it's in the third one. But in the second one, he's like in like an apartment in the city.
He's in like a penthouse, yeah.
Yeah, and the Batcave is in like underneath a container, like a dockyard.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy... This is something that the Michael Keaton movie's done quite well. I enjoyed the manor and nowhere. He is really sort of secluded, and there is like the questioning about him, and he is feasible. There's a big cave down there, you know?
Yeah, whereas this Batcave is kind of in the sewers, I guess.
It's in like the underground subway. It's like in Die Another Day, the Pierce Brosnan Bond movie.
Where, I do appreciate though the Batcave is full of bats. Just a good look.
It is a good look. It's very comic book. It doesn't make much sense. I wouldn't allow rodents in my secret lair, Kyle.
He likes bats.
Nah, yeah,
he likes bats.
Have they all got their shots though, Kyle? He gets some diseases. And even if he's young and fit, Alfred's getting on there a little bit. Andy Serkis, you don't want Andy Serkis getting ill. You know?
They're house-trained bats.
Okay, they're house-trained bats. Okay, Kyle. They've got a handler.
Yeah, Alfred goes out and feeds them, you know?
Alfred goes out and feeds them. Yeah, they trust Alfred. They trust Alfred more than they trust Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to stay on the Riddler, I think that this is, as you mentioned earlier, a brave departure from, you know, luminescent green suit and Kane. And
silly man with the question marks. Yeah.
Silly man with question marks, right? We get do question marks.
He's
here,
no Jim Carrey, that's for sure.
No, thank God. Not a fan of that portrayal, to be honest with you. It's this. I quite like this quite sinister Riddler because they haven't touched Riddler since Jim Carrey in any live action sense. Primarily because how do you do this sort of seriously? You know, riddle me this, Batman. But this was a.
I think the Arkham games do a pretty good job with it.
Yeah, that's a game, Kyle. There's a lot of wacky video gamey stuff in that. I mean, you know, as we know, you know, running around the city, standing on pressure plates. When is he running around setting up these pressure plates, Kyle, and no one getting him? He's just some dude.
He hires those like goons around the prison to do it.
And who's he getting the electronics and who's training them?
They do establish this in Arkham Knight. He like hacks banks and stuff to get all his money.
Oh, okay. Well, this is what happens when you're speaking to someone that's not completed all these games yet, I suppose. But yeah, love Paul Dano's Riddler. I think it's a great take, and maybe we'll see him again.
I would say, like, the fact that they've done this with the Riddler kind of makes the fact that they've put a Joker in it make no sense, because, like, this is kind of what the Joker would do if you're taking the Joker seriously. So, like, what's the Joker going to be?
I think Barry Koenig is
Barry, yep.
Cohen?
Druig.
Yeah, right. And I think he is a terrific, tremendously good actor. I loved Saltburn. He's great in Dunkirk. He was all right in Inhumans. Not Inhumans. Eternals.
Yep.
Same thing. Wonderfully talented guy, right? I do not like his look or necessarily his very brief scene as the Joker. There is another scene of him as the Joker earlier in the film.
Yeah, I was aware of this. It was a deleted scene, yeah.
And you know how they released it, Kyle? It was viral marketing. There was a URL that you had to find via solving riddles online.
Oh, lovely.
Then it got posted to YouTube. Yeah, I'm not a fan, honestly. I mean, on it, and I mean this unironically, I prefer Jared Leto. It's just a weird take. Now, it's possible if we get a full film with him, we'll flesh out the character and we'll see the performance in its full light and an actual plan, and he's more than just a cameo. Then maybe I'll change my mind. But if the purpose of this cameo was to introduce the character to the audience, people talk about first impressions are important. I think this first impression blew it. Cut the scene from the film, Kyle. I agree with you.
Or at least make it a post-credit scene. Don't put it in the movie.
Because this Riddler does bits, this Riddler is a really good subdued Joker. Like a really subtle Joker, which I think there's room for in this world. But now that we've done it, the Joker needs to be off the chain. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Which I feel like for this more like sort of serious universe, I mean, this is a very comic book universe, but it's like it takes itself deathly seriously, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've mentioned it before. I like it when a source material tries to hold itself together, like it knows it believes in itself, you know?
Yeah, there's no like, well, that just happened, quips and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly, you're right.
We do have one other major Batman villain, which we haven't talked about yet, somehow, even though he's being the star of his own TV show.
Which I'm sure we're going to bring this show back to talk about when it airs.
I mean, what a take. You know what, Nathan? You know what I don't understand? Why did they get Colin Farrell for this role?
Because he's a tremendous actor, and the makeup, he just disappears into it. Like, you can't even see Colin Farrell behind him.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Colin Farrell's a very handsome man.
He's
unrecognisable in this role.
Because they wanted to go for makeups awards, maybe. I don't know if they won any. I think it's because, remember when The Darkest Hour came out? And it was the Winston Churchill movie with Gary Oldman?
Yes.
And he was, I could definitely still see Gary Oldman through that makeup. But he won the Oscar, and it was this great performance, and the suit kind of transformed him into Winston Churchill, which I think he did, but they kept his face. I would say in this film, they even hide his face. You really can't see it's him. I'm looking at a picture of Colin Farrell right now. You can still kind of see the bridge along the eyes.
Yeah.
But everything else has just changed completely, right?
And he's like, hey, Batman, come into my club, huh?
Hey, what are you showing me? Come on! Terrific.
Hey, none of you want to learn Spanish? Come on!
Terrific, right? I'm a big fan of, I know because we spoke about how I don't like that Joker's take, this is just a 10 out of 10 Penguin, I think, because and apart from a Troy Baker Cockney Penguin, like, what are you going to do? We're not doing Danny DeVito's Penguin. We're not going to do, the one from the Gotham show, whose name I forget, I'm sorry, where he's,
Twink,
the
Twink
monocle,
Joker,
and
or Twink Penguin, yeah.
Yeah, Twink Penguin. And he's in a love relationship with Riddler, and he's going meow 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 meow. He's doing a little quack, which he never does in the show. By the way, I'm just in the last episode when he gets big and fat and gets the monocle, I'm just thinking of that because they all become caricatures of themselves right at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is just he's like an underling of the Falcones. He's not like his own mob boss.
Not yet.
Not yet. He will be, which is also kind of what they do in the Gotham show. Actually, he's like an underling for Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah.
And he then takes over her gig when she has a downfall. So, and he's got the Iceberg Lounge in this, and there's like the secret club beneath the club, the real club, which is 40 below. Great.
I'm pretty sure that's just the same club, surely, right? It's just the next level down of the same club.
Yeah, it's like an exclusive members club though, Kyle. Like, regular punters can't get into it, So I'm just very happy with them.
You know what is a tiny comic book detail I love about the Penguin in this movie is he has a couple goons who are the twins, and that's just such a comic book flair. Is to have like the twin goons
from the comic books, because that feels like a Tweedledum Tweedledee thing,
I think it's just a sort of like I enjoy when goons have a little bit of like recognizableness to them.
They have their thing, yeah. They're
not just like dudes in black trench coats or whatever. It's those are the twins. Those are some of Riddler's or I keep saying Riddler. Those are some of Penguin's goons, the twins, and then there's the guy with the mustache who's a cop. He's the cop, who Batman beat up and he recognises him when he's in cop uniform, and he's like, just tremendous stuff, I like it when Batman's sort of John Wicking his way through the nightclub and he's beating everyone up, and then Riddler just goes to confront him and he's like, easy, sweetheart, come and let's have a talk, So, Penguin confronts him. We're both doing it. It's just,
And we've spoken about, one of the first things we've ever done on this Name Not Included podcast was for us to for you to watch Goodfellas.
Yes.
And this is just such like a Goodfellas gangster, you know? I'm just such a big fan. I'm
here's one
really
question
looking
I
forward
have.
to the Penguin show, yeah?
One question I have. Why do they call him the Penguin?
Because he has a limp?
Do penguins have lips?
No, but it's because the limp makes him look like he's waddling or something.
Is that okay?
Or is it because of the hook nose? He looks like he's got a beak.
Because in the comic books they call him the Penguin because he looks like a penguin, right?
That's because he's like short and fat, you know. This guy,
He's short,
this version kind of is fat. I'm looking at a picture of him right now.
He's fat, but he's definitely not short, and he doesn't like the other penguin thing. Is like they used to call like people who wear that sort of like 3-piece tuxedo thing. It's like a penguin suit, right?
It was like the tails, and the white middle.
But this is a fashionable penguin.
This is a fashionable penguin with like the little dicky bow and the velvet jacket. Or the silk jacket. Yeah, I'm looking at one of him in the nightclub. I mean, his face, even it's kind of scrunched up, and he's got the scars. He does kind of look a little bit beakish in the face because of the big nose.
I guess so.
And maybe it's also because he runs the Iceberg Lounge, you know? Like the,
You
maybe
think this is just a thing he started himself? He just likes penguins. He's like, I'm going to call myself the Penguin, eh?
I'm the Penguin, yeah. Why? What about it, you know? Better than be called in Rat-a-Lada or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Flying rat or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, listen, I'm sure this will be something that they explore in his own show, you know? Imagine this was like, I think the show will do a lot to build the character out, because if they
I do think it's crazy that of all the things we're getting a penguin show.
There's so much potential though. And you know what? See, if it wasn't obvious to make one, that probably means they had an idea for it, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
The obvious one would be like a Catwoman spin-off.
Catwoman, yeah, obviously.
But you could have a good idea for a Catwoman show, and that would be perfectly legitimate to make. But because it's obvious, that doesn't necessarily mean that they had an idea for it. They're just making it. Because this is less obvious, it probably means they knew they had a plan. So I'm quite confident to see, you know, what it is this show is going to be. Just terrific. Really genuinely excited for the Penguin show, especially after watching this, because the trailer for the Penguin show only came out a few weeks ago now. 2 weeks ago maybe, and I hadn't seen this film since cinema. So after rewatching the film, I think I actually appreciate Penguin more in this rewatch, to be honest.
Yeah, he's good. He's very comic booky.
And he doesn't feel like the antagonist of the film. He feels like just
he's a middleman.
Yeah, he's like a middleman.
And when it turns out that Falcone is in bed with the police, he seems pretty pissed off genuinely. So
yeah, exactly. Like he seems like he has his own real loyalties. He isn't just in it for himself. Though
well, he is.
Probably is. But like he has like a faith to the underground, you know? He ain't no rat kill, you know?
He ain't no rat. He ain't no snitch.
He ain't no rat, you know? Falcone would kill him.
Speaking of things that eat rats, shall we talk about Catwoman a bit?
Let's talk about Catwoman a bit. What do we have to say about Catwoman, Kel?
I think this is easily the best live-action adaptation of Catwoman.
Okay, you don't like the Anne Hathaway one?
She's fine. She doesn't really do much in that movie.
She breaks Bruce Wayne's walking stick.
Yeah, I think this interpretation of like she grew up on the streets. She's living rough. She's past due on her rent, but she's an exceptionally talented cat burglar. All of that stuff really works. I think the chemistry between her and Batman is super good. There's a lot of like pretty just like sexual tension steering in this movie.
Right, so I was going to mention that I actually think they don't have great chemistry.
Really?
I think
it works.
I think that name escapes me. Please hold on. I shut it down.
Zoe Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz. Thank you very much, Gail. I think she has wonderful sort of like talking to a brick wall chemistry. Because all Robot Bat does is kind of just stand there. Like, he's very mission focused, which is, you know, perfectly legitimate. He's allowed to be mission focused. But when they're like just sitting having gabs, he's always like, put the earpiece in, put the contact lens in, go and do this, and she's always up for a chat, you know.
That's exactly the right vibe for a Batman-Catwoman relationship, though.
Well, I think it's the right vibe for Batman, but I just don't see a romance there. She kisses him and he just kind of stands there. Which, again, perfectly in character. I just don't see the romance. He's just a monolith. Anyone could be saying this exact dialogue to him. I could buy the Riddler doing this to him, and he would just stand there and take it.
Okay, I'll retract what I was saying a bit. Maybe romance isn't exactly the right word, but I think there is like I think the dynamic there is good and it works properly.
It almost feels like they're using each other because
they are.
They might both die. Yeah, exactly right. I don't like this ain't no Tally Al Ghul.
No.
I tell you what, the best bit of chemistry I thought they shared was right at the end when they're doing their little motorbike riding.
That's past the point where the movie should have ended.
Yeah, but I think that was actually a good scene for them.
When they do their little race to the gates of the graveyard.
Yeah, I've walked through that. That is the Glasgow Necropolis, ladies and gentlemen, on top of a big hill. It's quite a hilly place. Like, see when you see like the camera shots of like them filming through the trees and it's up high. They're not on a crane. Maybe they are. But they're probably on top of a hill, on top of a crane, looking down on them. Like, it's a very hilly spot, and it's just, all those roads just look like a Glasgow road,
Yeah.
Now, it'll look like I can see the Glasgow City Council shitness of it,
You're like, you're driving on the wrong side of the roads.
Yeah. Oh, no. They were driving on the right side of the road, actually. No, it's
Were they?
Yeah, because when Catwoman was driving, when she's driving up the hill, there's a little sort of triangle on the road that you're supposed to like drive into the pointed end for your giveaway moment.
Okay, yep.
And she's driving right up towards it, and I was like, I wonder if they meant to do that, but I feel like they're accidentally driving on the correct side of the road here.
Well, that's good. Road safety, important.
Yeah, on a closed off set early in the morning, yeah.
Oh, my favourite scene with Catwoman is the scene where she goes into the club and Batman is looking through her eyes. That's a great little, like, spy movie moment.
Oh, I love the contact lenses that record things. Very good. And I wear contact lenses, so I think that maybe part of that was to gross people out, but it's perfectly normal. I'm fine with it.
You think it was supposed to gross people? It's just contact lens.
Oh, people get super weird about contact lenses. People I know when I take my contact lens out, yeah, they're like, I need to look away because people don't like people touching eyeballs because they're such a sensitive part.
You're not touching the eye, you're touching a thing in front of the eye.
I agree, Kyle, right? I wear the contact lenses, but this is what people say because it just looks like you're touching your eye.
Okay. I didn't think it was supposed to be a gross out moment, I'll be honest.
I mean, I don't read it like that because I wear the lenses, but I know how people feel about seeing people touch their eyes. So
Right.
I'm just trying to get into their headspace,
But yeah, I enjoy that because there's several points where you think she's going to get caught, but it turns out that these guys are just old, horny, and dumb. I love Coulson, not Phil Coulson, Gil Coulson.
The district attorney, Kyle.
The district attorney, pre-Harvey Dent, I assume.
Yeah, well, we're going to be needing a new DA, aren't we, Kyle?
Yeah, I wonder who this new up-and-comer will be.
Who's this going to be, Sort out the town.
But yeah, that guy is so, like, pathetic, and that's just great. Like, he sees what he assumes to be, like, a prostitute, and he's like, I think she's genuinely into me. And it's just a sad, sad man. And that's fun.
No, absolutely. He is a super, just kind of, like, pathetic. Like, he feels sorry for himself.
Oh, you almost feel sorry for him, even though he's a corrupt politician, because he's just like, pathetic.
Right? Yeah, no, completely. Like, not even immediately dislikable. It's just, he's just a bit of a loser.
I will point out in that scene, though, was Falcone hitting on his own daughter?
I don't think so. I think that's the vibe you're supposed to get, but then they don't push it. They're kind of tasteful about it all, which I think maybe is because they're trying to not make it seem gross for later on with the daughter reveal. So obviously the people making the film know the reveal's coming, so they're shooting it in such a way. I don't think they're trying to gross people out with it. I don't think they are. I think he does definitely have like a paternal vibe about him when he's speaking to her earlier on in the movie, even before the twist.
Okay, fair enough.
It's just the reading I got, maybe I'm just too naive, but I just didn't feel it.
Like one of his girls, but not like his actual girl. He doesn't realise, yeah.
Exactly, right.
Sure, I'll buy that. John Turturro, by the way, amazing in this movie.
You were surprised he was in this, weren't you?
I didn't know he was in it.
and he was in it a lot, which probably made you happier again, yeah. Because
I saw him early in the club, I was like, was that John Turturro? And then you see him in better lighting, it's like, it was John Turturro.
And it's not just John Turturro, it's Don Falcone.
Yeah.
He's the head of one of the mafia families, and they speak about the Maronis later on, which is the other big family, you know.
No, don't get any Maronis in this film. This is all about the Falcones.
Yeah, I think we might get some Maronis in the next one, you know, with Harvey Dent, you know, give Harvey Dent a target. This is me just assuming the plot of the next Batman, you know. I don't know anything about
Well,
Batman.
they are making a sequel, which is curious, because
Which
there's
has
a
been
few directions
delayed.
it could go.
It's been delayed. It was supposed to come out next year, Kyle. It's now
That's
not
true.
coming out to 2026, I
Yeah.
think. You know, people gave up hope because this movie was horrifically delayed. This movie was aimed for 2018 originally.
That's
Kyle.
true. Yeah, I remember
You
that.
know, like this film was late, and it looks like the next one's going to be very late as well. But at least we've got a Penguin show to tide us over. You know, So I think the Penguin show might have been supposed to kind of neatly lead into the Batman 2. I don't know if that's now going to be the case. Even if it still does neatly lay into it, it's like, okay, we'll neatly lay into it in 2 years' time, you know? Can we speak about, Kyle, the sequence at the funeral for the mayor?
Yes. Great scene.
Tremendous extended scene at that, because it kind of is split in half, right? It's split into the
Yes.
Bruce Wayne half and then the Batman half.
Because I guess
And-
Bruce Wayne kind of slipped out and went into an alley and got into his clothes. How does he do that, by the way? Because we see him riding a motorbike out of costume sometimes. Is he getting changed in an alleyway somewhere?
He's doing a Spider-Man.
Yeah, I
he's
guess
got a backpack. Yeah. He's got an Alfred to do like an airdrop in a care package. But it's made out of dissolvable materials.
We
that
didn't
leaves
talk
no
about
trace.
Alfred at all. Because he's not really in this movie much.
No, and Andy Serkis is an interesting choice.
He is. He's a very non-conventional Alfred.
Yeah, like a British sort of geezer and
Yeah.
younger because
He
he's
has
a younger
he
Batman.
has like a scar in his eye.
Yeah, exactly. I could see him being like a bruiser, you know?
Yeah, this is an Alfred who lived through the origins, the Pennyworth, the origins of Batman's power.
Except not in the Second World War, because, Kyle, I should note before we talk about this church sequence, Batman's parents killed in 2002. How does
Yes.
that make you feel?
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Seems like it
Almost
should be the 80s or something.
Yeah, or like even the 50s, absolutely, yeah. But no, yeah, they were 2002 is when they died.
I mean, it makes sense. Timeline-wise, it's just weird.
They were coming home from seeing the Scooby-Doo movie, Kyle.
I thought people said it was Shrek 2 is what they were coming off.
Written by James Gunn.
Maybe they
No,
were-
the Shrek 2 was 2004. Maybe it was.
It
Maybe
could have been Shrek
movie.
1.
Could have been Shrek 1. But yeah, so the church sequence, I love how when he shows up and he's looking at the protesters out in the street that are like eat the rich, you know, and they're kind of doing it at him as well.
Yeah,
But
well,
obviously-
of course they would.
Yeah, no, of course they would, right? But I think it's an interesting moment for him to kind of try and see both sides. He, even if he completely agrees with what the protesters are saying, he's like, this is how it feels to be in the other end of it.
Well, they
So I
do.
know-
They do some stuff with, like, Bruce Wayne is an out-of-touch rich weirdo. I think Catwoman has a line where it's like, under that mask you must have grown up rich, or something like that.
Yeah, that gives away that you grew up rich because you think that like money won't solve my problems when actually
Yeah.
money will solve a lot of my problems.
Yeah.
And he gets out of his car, a valet takes it, you know, and then like when he's standing sort of looking at people coming in through the funeral, there's some like members of the public that are behind barricades and somebody tries to sneak by it. And like you can hear somebody talking to him, being like, if that was my, you know, whatever, if that was my daughter or something like that, I would kill whoever done it. I can't, something along those lines.
Something like
I can't
that,
quite, yeah. And it's like this person sort of peers out of the crowd and just leans over and is talking to him. And then the guy kind of recognises him. And this is, wait, are you? But I couldn't tell if that was like a goon Batman had beaten up earlier in the movie, or if he was just, I recognise you as being Bruce Wayne.
I think it was just that.
But when the mayor-elect, or soon-to-be mayor-elect, still the official competition to the dead mayor,
Yes.
sort of is like walking along, this interrupts and says, hey, can we walk and talk? He looks over his shoulder to the guy, and the guy's sort of looking at him, and then he sort of steps back and immediately becomes like part of the sea of people again, like the shadow takes over. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Like it was art, Kyle, it was symbolism, you know, for the sea of voices that are all saying the same thing, you know? The ugliness under this city that's bubbling up.
That was movie making, is what
That was
it was.
movie making, Kyle, exactly right.
The car coming through, and did Riddler was there, I guess.
Yeah, Paul Dano's up top, but he's like backlit, so you don't see his face.
Mm-hmm.
Right, how he was able to get in? What are the chances he
I
would
know.
have gained access? You know, because like hundreds of people outside, and only maybe 100 can get in.
I like Riddler. There's a lot of like supervillain and how did he manage this type stuff in this movie.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. And he's just sort of standing there, everyone runs away, but he's not panicked because he knows this isn't like a bomb situation that's about to go off. He's just like, okay, that's a car, it'll drive under me, I don't need to freak out. And Batman sort of looks up to be like, hey, right, okay, because he thinks the Riddler's going to be here to watch this, because psychopaths like to watch the aftermath of their actions. And then he looks up. It
was another part of his plan.
Another part of his plan. And then he's speaking to him and all that. And then time clearly passes because it's nighttime later on. And he comes back as Batman. And they've got like the little bomb drone. Everyone's outside and everything. And the DA is just sort of sitting there. And the phone rings. And he's got to do the riddles. And then Batman's trying to get him to admit the things he's done. All just tremendous stuff. Absolutely great. You know, and the chief of police is like, why is this guy in here? Because the police don't like Batman in this. Quite Arkham Origins.
Yeah, I love how sleazy the police are in this movie.
Yeah. I don't mind. I'm open to interpretations where the police are on side with Batman and interpretations where the police hate Batman.
This one does both, which is interesting.
It does both, yeah. You kind of get police that are kind of unsure about him, the ones that come around.
I love that. Like Gordon brings Batman to all the crime scenes, and all the cops are like, "What is this fucking guy doing here?"
Yeah. yeah. All the Italian American cops.
Yeah.
No, I kind of mentioned this at the first crime scene at the mayor, where Batman's been taken in by Gordon. Batman's sort of almost like he's gliding behind him. I don't mean like cape gliding. I mean like he's walking, gliding behind him like a shadow. And it's just tremendous.
I love whenever in those scenes someone asks Batman a question, he just stares at them and doesn't answer.
Yeah, or like he goes over and looks at some evidence in the floor like a blood spatter, and then the forensic team notices looking at something, and they go over and go, "Oh shit, yeah, take a photo of that."
Yeah, I think this is absolutely for like the detective Batman stuff. We've never gotten more detective Batman stuff in a movie.
Yeah. I mean, this film is definitely heavily influenced by films like Seven, which is a Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt. You familiar with Seven, even if you're
I'm
not
familiar. That's the What's in the Box movie, right?
Yeah. Kevin Spacey's the killer. Yeah, right. This film is definitely getting influenced. Sure, 1997, whatever year this film came out. Yeah, spoilers, right? But yeah, so this film definitely has influences of things like Seven, and that's a heavy detective film, right? And so was this, except this film's maybe you think this film's disgusting relative to Seven. It's quite sanitized actually. But yeah, the detective work in this is tremendous. We haven't really spoken about Gordon much, have we?
No, I like him.
It's a smaller part.
It's a smaller part. He's very soft-spoken. He makes the dumbest mistake in this whole movie when he plugs in that USB drive to that laptop. What are you doing, Gordon? Come on.
That's a we need to push the plot along decision.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really do it. Like, it sends out a bunch of emails of all the like secret stuff, which Riddler probably could have just done anyway. So it's not super relevant. But come on, Gordon.
It really doesn't come around again, because you're thinking, okay, we've outed the mayor as being a sleazebag, but what does that do to the rest of the plot? It does nothing. And maybe it adds to the outrage of corruption.
Yeah, I think
in the
it's
city.
supposed to be like a sort of. It's what's inspiring like the crowds outside of
the funeral and stuff.
The funeral, yeah.
Possibly. Because it's kind of a lot of that, like when he's torturing, who was that? Like the police commissioner, Loeb?
Yeah, I don't think it's Loeb. I think it's some other guy, but...
Yeah. But you know, he sends in the like weird fucking selfie video of, you know, I'm Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight,
yes.
You know? You get a few like, I'm the news reader and I'm breaking this new bulletin right now. You get quite a few of that in this film, you know.
Yes. Yeah, but I like Jeffrey Wright. I think he's good.
He's a terrific. I was really happy when they cast him, because you know sometimes like you kind of realise, oh yeah, casting directors actually probably deserve an Academy Award for the work they do, because casting actually is sometimes not completely obvious. I had never thought of Jeffrey Wright as a Commissioner Gordon type, or Captain Gordon.
I wouldn't have thought of him as Gordon, and I would never have picked Robert Pattinson for Batman either. So
right, the Twilight guy. But I think something like Tenet might have got him this role, because he's brilliant in Tenet. Watch Tenet, Kyle. Oh, terrific. the other Nolan movie that isn't Oppenheimer, you know. But this was just lightning casting, terrific. I'd love to see, I will see more of him. But I feel like the last few apart from J.K. Simmons' Gordon,
for 5 seconds,
for 5 seconds, like we see him become commissioner, but he's like working his way up. I want to see him be commissioner and be established as Commissioner Gordon, you know, because that's the character Commissioner Gordon, not Lieutenant Gordon or Captain Gordon. I want to see thick mustache old man Gordon, you know.
You're going to get that in Arkham Knight, no spoilers, but there's more Gordon in Arkham Knight than there is in the previous games.
Great, because I love Gordon. I think Gordon's a great character, and I want to see Jeffrey Wright really go up through the ranks, because what is he now, Lieutenant Gordon or something?
I feel like by the end of this movie, he has to be Commissioner, right? Because, like, the Commissioner's dead, and all the other cops are corrupt, so Commissioner Gordon, you get the role, you get the job by default.
Yeah, is it the mayor that appoints the Commissioner?
I think, surely, right?
Surely, that would make sense for her to appoint him. You know, I'm really anticipating Batman 2. I wonder if any of these characters show up in the Penguin show, or if this is just going to be a completely...
If any of them would, it would be Gordon, right?
If any of them would, it would be Gordon. Maybe a Catwoman cameo. I will not see Batman at all.
No, they'll reference Batman a couple of times.
Yeah, you'll get, the incident that happened when the city flooded, because as much as I think that the flooding of Gotham would play in, because the kind of epilogue of this is him talking about how despite the cities being flooded and National Guard's coming in and martial law's been instituted, but crime still persists, and you get a shot of Penguin sort of in his 44 below kind of looking out the window. But I was thinking, like, is this Penguin show going to be about flooded Gotham? But then I watched the trailer.
Unlikely, yeah.
Yeah, unlikely, right? When you watch the trailer, it's a bit unlikely. But I think that we're going to... Maybe the Maronis will show up in that, you know? It's going to be a mobster show.
Well, the whole flooded Gotham thing, that's the last 20 minutes of the movie, which I would just cut from the movie. Like,
yeah,
okay,
it really comes out of nowhere.
Here is... If this was a comic book run, the end of this story would be that final conversation in the prison where he's talking to Riddler. And I think if they had done that, like, chat where it's... You think there's the great twist where you think that he's figured out who Batman is, and he's like, Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And of course, does he know? Question mark. Memes. All that.
Yes, does he know? Yeah.
By the way, I don't think he knows. I'm just going to throw that out there. I think.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Because it would break the whole movie. But...
Yeah. Because he's just like, oh no, that was the one that got away, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't kill Bruce Wayne.
But because the real twist of that is the whole, like, we were working together on this, right? And that's like oh, no, Batman inspired this guy. Oh, no, it's all gone horribly wrong, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's the Incrediboy moment.
Yeah, and if they just ended the movie with that would have been, incredibly,
that would be
poignant.
Cliffhanger,
that would be,
you know?
It's not really a cliffhanger, it's just, like, it leaves you with, like, that emptiness of, like, okay, Batman has become a problem and he needs to change and all this. But then they have to have the thing where there's flooding and Batman, you literally see Batman become a symbol of hope, which is a nice shot, which we talked about, it's a symbolism, but it's also
you need your best of both worlds moment. You can't just have the Borg cube go to sleep kill. You got to blow it up.
Yeah, I guess. It's just, and as we said before, you have the scene where it's like, I am vengeance with the incel brigade guys.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like, I get it. I understand what the movie's going for. You've spilled it out extremely clearly. I have a question, Nathan.
Yeah, go ahead.
How did Riddler get those bombs?
You could home make a bomb online. There's ingredients, you know. You could... How did he get enough yield to blow up a seawall at multiple locations?
Exactly, yes.
Maybe he hacks banks as well, Kyle.
Maybe he hacks banks, okay.
He buys a lot of stuff from military surplus stores. Maybe he knows a guy that's got an old sea mine or something.
Okay, sure. He got the sea mine from Simon Pegg movie.
From Mr. Filch from Harry Potter.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, from Hot Fuzz. Yeah.
Hot Fuzz. Oh my god, why could I not remember the name Hot Fuzz?
Yeah, Hot Fuzz. Yeah, he's got the sea mine in the lockup with all the other guns.
The whole the flooding the city thing. It's just like it's not a Skybeam, right? Okay, so I'll give it points for not being a Skybeam. It's something a little bit more creative than a
Skybeam would be crazy in this film.
Can you imagine?
Like, it's just
How will you stop the Skybeam, Batman?
it's a light show coming out from the centre of Gotham Square Garden that means nothing. It's just the bat symbol shining up, and he's like, okay, I'll put my cape over it.
No, actually, the Riddler was in contact with Steppenwolf.
Oh.
And a party when invasion starts.
Oh my goodness. Oh, great. And then Batman's got to take the Joker with him for something.
That is the thing about this Batman. It feels very it would be very weird if this Batman interacted with a Superman. It would feel totally out of place. This feels like a very Batman exclusive story.
Yeah, there are no other superheroes. We have Catwoman.
Do you get that impression as well? Like, this would be a weird opening point for a cinematic universe?
Yes, tremendously. I think I'm happy with this being its own thing. Now, here's something for you, right?
Uh-huh.
I can totally see a Robin in this world.
Oh, same. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a Robin in the set, especially with how this movie ends.
Yeah, with him wanting to be a symbol of hope and stuff.
Yeah, and they established throughout the movie that Batman, he has a soft spot for kids. He keeps looking sort of like mournfully at the mayor's son.
Yes, so he relates to that kid, yeah.
So, like, if Batman comes across... I can totally believe that this Batman would come across an orphan and adopt him and train him to fight crime.
Yes, so would I, right? I totally believe that. You quite like Robin as a character, Kyle. So
I like Robin.
You think this is... Because I concede that I think Robin's exceptionally difficult to introduce into live action. But I think this film's the perfect way to do it, this continuity.
I think, don't go for a Dick Grayson. Don't go for the son of the athletes at the circus thing.
You think this would be a good Tim Drake?
No, I think this would be a good Jason Todd.
Or Red Hood?
Yeah, Jason Todd, well, he was Robin first, but his whole deal is that he's like a kid from the streets, and he kind of grew up as an orphan, and Batman first meets him because he tries to steal the wheels off the Batmobile, all this stuff, right? I think
and this Batmobile is quite shitty, so it would be
this
something
Batmobile is quite shitty, yeah. I think, like, with this sort of grimier university setup, I think a Jason Todd would work. And they would probably just still call him Dick Grayson because, you know, he's the first Robin, right? Yeah. That's the Robin people know.
Honestly, I'll be real with you, Kel. Like how earlier I mentioned how people don't know the universes of the MCUs and Fox and Sony. I don't think anyone knows who Robin is.
No, I think everyone knows Batman and Robin.
Everyone knows Batman and Robin. Not everyone knows Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, and Tim Drake.
I think if of the three, people would at least know Dick Grayson if you pushed them, because he's the Robin from the 50s show, he's the Robin from the movies.
He would have the largest public awareness, but if the largest public awareness is 20 people, that's still not a lot of people. I think
you're underselling that a bit.
Oh no, I don't think I am at all. I think like you've got your video gamers that'll know them, and you've got your comic book readers that know them. I don't think Joe Average that turns these franchises into billion-dollar movies, I don't think they know anything about Robin.
They know that Robin exists.
Yes, the character of Robin, not the identity though, the secret identity. I think people know there's Batman and Robin. You go Bruce Wayne's Batman, and you go, oh, who is Robin actually? Who was it in the 60s? And you go, oh, I can't mind. I really think that would be it.
Do you spend all your time in Scottish retirement homes? What is this people you're talking to?
Yeah, I don't know, because I work in the job I do outside of this show, Kyle. I speak to a lot of people, right? And you kind of get to know kind of people's general vibe and what their attitude is towards different things. You have the same sort of people come around again and again. And you're not asking them specifically, do you know who Robin is? But they might go, I know who Robin is. And then that's where they don't know who's the man behind Robin, you know? It's like if you ask who the guy behind Mr. Freeze is. He's just Mr. Freeze, isn't he? It's Robin.
I mean, you picked the bad choice, because the behind Mr. Freeze is Mr. Freeze.
He's Dr. Fries.
Dr. Fries, yeah.
Dr. Fries. And listen, it's not necessarily a contention that I'm willing to go to the grave over. If it turns out that everyone is just massive Robin fans and everyone just, you know, Robin sluts, then that's fine. I just have the quite convincing.
Listen, have you not seen the anniversary cover of Nightwing?
I have not.
So they did like anniversary of everyone in their costume of, I can't remember which anniversary it was, for different various famous DC characters, and it's just them standing with different variants. But for Dick Grayson, for Nightwing, he is standing butt first to the camera with that butt on full display.
Oh, that male gaze. I think I might have seen that cover, actually. I think I might have saw some chatter about it.
Nightwing is famously hot in the DC universe.
Yeah,
so,
I'm familiar with that. I was looking through the Netflix descriptions of the Titans show the other day, because I watched the first season of that show, and then I
forgot that he was in that.
I was like, that ran for 4 seasons? Holy moly. And Tim Drake's in it as well, right?
Yeah.
But in the episode summaries before you watch each episode, because I was just reading through them to see what happened after season 1, because I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah.
But they just call them by their character names, not the superhero names. And it's just like, Dick does this, Dick and the team go and do that, right?
That's the more major question. If we do get a Dick Grayson, will they chicken out and not call him Dick?
Oh, good point. Because the internet's really immature.
Mm-hmm. Will he be Richard Grayson?
Well, I think they might just not give us a Dick Grayson, Kyle. I think they might go right to Jason Todd or Tim Drake.
I seriously doubt we'll get a Tim Drake. I can see them doing a Jason Todd. My honest guess is, because I genuinely think there is a good chance we'll get Robin in the next movie. I don't think that's out of the question at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be the Jason Todd backstory, but they'll call him Dick Grayson, would be my guess.
Okay, we're not doing the circus then?
No, the circuses even exist anymore?
Yes, there's a circus here every Christmas.
Does anyone go to it?
Oh yeah, this is some local knowledge for everyone. It's in Silverburn on the south side of Glasgow. It's huge.
The circus in Silverburn, are you serious?
It's not inside, it's in a car park in the far corner.
And there's like clowns and acrobats and animals and stuff?
It's in a big, no animals, I don't think. I've never been to it, but it's an acrobat show. I've seen videos. I know people have gone to it.
So the Flying Graysons could still be a thing, I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Acrobats at a circus, totally a feasible idea that totally exists in 2024, Kyle.
I guess if we're doing the Joker, you can add a circus.
Oh, so you've never heard of Cirque du Soleil, Kyle?
I've heard of Cirque du Soleil, but they're like...
Batman goes to Vegas, Kyle, right?
Batman picks up a kid in Vegas, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? Looks what happens when Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas.
Catwoman's going to Bloodhaven at the end of this movie, so...
Yeah, there you go, Kyle. You know, acrobat shows, even if they weren't very popular, it's not a thing no one would know about in your audience.
Well, yeah.
You know?
Bloodhaven is the city where Nightwing works after he stops being Robin.
Yeah, see, that works. So it's all coming together, Kyle. Have you got anything else to say about Robot Bat and Bats?
I think we've covered everything. It's a good movie.
Yeah, it is.
One of the best we've watched so far.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to the future of this continuity.
Yes.
Unlike the rest of this show, this is a continuity that's going places.
Okay, well, I wanted to talk to you about that, Nathan, because we're at a choice point, and I wanted you to weigh in on this.
Okay.
So, the next movie in the DCEU is Black Adam, right?
Right.
But Dwayne Johnson, as Black Adam, does show up in a movie before Black Adam. And how thorough are we going to be here, Nathan?
Are you going to ask if we need to watch the DC's Super Pets movie?
Do we watch DC League of Super Pets?
You know, Kyle, if we do, this will be the one thing I've never seen before.
I mean, that could be interesting, you know?
That certainly could be interesting. Let's do it, Kyle.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do DC League of Super Pets.
We're doing it. We're going to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's us. Next episode.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for listening to this episode. Obviously, it's going to be vastly superior next week when we're talking about DC League of Super Pets. But until then, to take you over, Nathan, where can the people find you?
You can find me online at Nathan Tinney, basically everywhere. You can find me Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, Mastodon. However, we've had a bit of a casualty.
This is a true crisis, folks.
I have lost access to my Hive account.
I can't believe this. I don't know how to handle this information.
I don't know either, Kyle. I'm pretty devastated. It tells me the account doesn't exist, but Kyle can go on to Hive and see the account still existing. They say the email, it makes no sense. I think it's just Hive is overbeared with so many people trying to get onto it. It won't let new people sign. It's
so immensely popular.
Yeah, it must be, right? It just must be. So you can't find me in Hive. At least you can find the account, but I probably won't be posting on it at the moment. But yeah, that's where you can find me. You can also find me in Kyle's comment sections from time to time, if that's really where you want to find me.
Speaking of Kyle, my comment section, you can find me at Kyle the Scot on YouTube. I've become a Tumblr head now, I guess. I seem to spend a lot of time on Tumblr. So,
I'm also there as well, but I never interact.
No, so follow me on Tumblr, I guess, but mainly YouTube, because that's how I make my money.
Yes, please do.
And thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next time for DC League of Super Pets.